Stepton and Brian Holtz with us today. Each candidate, I sent out instructions for what the forum procedure will be. I'll just read that real quickly. Each candidate will have 3 minutes. It said 2 and 3 minutes, so it's confusing there. You'll actually have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and state your positions. As a moderator, I'll time you and let you know when your time is up. At the end of the candidate self-introduction, there'll be a question and answer period. You'll have 1 minute to answer questions asked of you. I will also time your responses to each question and let you know when your time is up. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to wrap up the questions. That's the process we're going to follow. So we'll start with Martin, and he has 3 minutes to tell us who he is and why he's running.
Good morning, Gastineau Rotary. I thank you guys for inviting me again this year. As you guys know, I ran last year and I came up short. And this year I was running against somebody that dropped out. So I'm running unchallenged right now. And so hopefully I can get on this year. I just want to say, my name is Martin Stepton. I'm originally from St. Paul Island, Alaska. I grew up there until I was about 18. And, I went to Alaska Job Corps to study carpentry and completed the program there. And after that, I went into the world. I worked up on the slope. I've done, in my lifetime, I've done mostly construction and commercial fishing. Of course, I'm from the Bering Sea, and I moved down here in 2011. Whenever I first moved down here, I met my wife, and my wife is from Mangoon. Also, I want to say that today I'm speaking from Tlingit land, and we have 4 kids together within the school district, and ranging from 10th grade down to second year in Head Start. So I'll have kids in the school district for a long time to come. And we have, I really do want to be on the school district. I started learning about the ongoings of funding from the state level down to the municipality level, and starting in 2014, whenever I really got active in trying to support raising the BSA at the state level. And then I learned about how much our great municipality supports the schools here in Juneau. And so I just, starting from there, that's how I got interested in wanting to be on the school board. So yeah, I've have service within me. I've been a volunteer firefighter in St. Paul, and I've worked at the local police department there as a dispatcher. I've done jail guarding, and I've done these things of service in the past. I've never really thought about until I started running for school board, because people ask you, have you done service before? And yeah, I guess I have. So thank you, and thanks for having me today.
You still have 40 seconds if you want to continue.
Well, we're in such a crazy time right now. If God granted I get elected this year, right off the bat, I would like to make sure our school district is holding our students up, and making sure we're not leaving any behind within this pandemic. And that's the first order of business, I believe, if I get elected. And I'll be focused on that for probably the first year, and making sure that this pandemic isn't getting the best of us as a school district, and making sure we're just not leaving anybody behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Holtz, unmute yourself. You just arrived on a cruise ship, it looks like.
That is a ferry. It's my advertisement for ferries. Am I on?
You're on. Go ahead.
Very good. Well, good morning, everyone. I think everyone knows me. Wonderful to be here. Let me just tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm running for re-election to the Juneau Board of Education. We moved as a family to this wonderful place called Juneau in 1978 as a Coast Guard family. Mom's on the call today. Good morning, Mom. I graduated from Juneau Douglas High School in '84. I studied politics, philosophy, and economics at Notre Dame, and then served as a Peace Corps volunteer in South America. And then I spent 20 years working internationally in international economic and community development. I served while abroad. I had 4 children. I served as the chair of the 2 years of the International School of Belgrade. I married Estella, my wife. I married her first, then I had the 4 children. We returned to Juneau in 2008 to take the job as the executive director of the Juneau Economic Development Council, where I am now. My interest in serving on the Board of Education is rooted in economic development. High quality education is the foundation for a better future for individuals and society. Education should be the great equalizer of opportunity. I believe Juneau schools are good. They can be better. Our schools are improving for everyone, but there are still too many students, often minorities or low income, that do not do as well as they could. We need a comprehensive approach to high quality early education so more kids arrive ready to learn. This will help our efforts to have more students reading at grade level by 3rd grade. We need more hands-on project-based learning throughout the school years. We need students to see themselves in our schools. Our students need to graduate with a pathway to their future, whether that's an immediate job, a technical training, or going to college. Our board recently adopted a strategic plan, and we need to support the implementation of that plan. It's got 4 important pillars: partnerships, relationships, equity, and achievement. And our community needs to adopt a broader Juneau Education Compact, bringing together a diverse set of stakeholders beyond our schools to target investments and programs that will build stronger families, a more vibrant culture, and a more vibrant economy. Some key issues I mentioned: early access to high quality early education. We need to execute our strategic plan. We need to create an education compact. We need to support our teachers. And you all, please, need to continue to support your schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. You'll now have, we'll have question and answer period, and then you'll have 1 minute to answer those questions. Let me, okay. Got my timer set here at 1 minute. The first question I'm going to ask is, Proposition 2 is a bond issue for $15 million for school roof repair and park recreation facilities, repairing streets, and completing energy efficient building maintenance projects. Do you, Martin, support that?
Yes, I do support that, and I hope all of you support that also. You might hear on the radio and throughout town that there's folks just kind of discouraging the proposition itself because of the way it was made, because it was bundled, and I think that is not a favorable way to bring bonds forward. But the reason we're doing this bond is because we have 3 leaky roofs within the school district that really need to be fixed. It should have been done, maybe even a few years ago. These roofs need to be completely replaced. Every dollar from these bonds will be well spent, and we are now in the era of taking care of our own buildings. School bond debt is not coming to save us anytime soon. The state is broke, and we will have to buckle up and fund the maintenance of our own buildings from here going forward, unless things magically change at the state level, which I don't see happening anytime soon.
Thank you, Martin. Brian?
Yes, please vote on yes on this proposition. Martin, I think, covered a couple of really key points. Just for all of you to remember, the schools have funds for instruction. We do not have funds to build buildings. The buildings belong to the assembly by charter, by the CBJ charter. So it's on the city to take care of these buildings. And so they've been taking care of them, but they've been using a program from the state that reimbursed 70% back to Juneau. That ended 6 years ago. There was a 5-year moratorium. That 5-year is extended another 5 years. So we have to take care of our own buildings with city dollars. So yeah, taxpayers need, it's up to the taxpayers to do it. Now is the right time to put money into schools. And the fund a bond package for the entire package you should vote for. $50 million in extra economic activity in Juneau is sorely needed right now. We can pay it back over 25 years.
Thank you, Brian. Who has a question? Jill?
Okay, so I was reading or listening to a newscast on KTOO yesterday over in Sitka. They were talking about looking at trade programs for their high schoolers and that sort of thing. And I guess the question for both candidates would be, what would be things that you would like to see implemented to get people more interested in the trades as a viable profession, and B, sorry, there's a plane going over, and B, just getting people ready for the workforce. You know, some people don't go to, college or whatever, and but they, just want to get a job, and the ones I see kind of don't really seem prepared for that. So any ideas there?
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a tricky one, Jill. It is true that we need to have people ready to enter the workforce. That's the real challenge, or ready to take the next step. Alaska has the lowest college attainment rate of any state in the country. We need more of our people, our students, young people, ready for college, not fewer of them. It's kind of a myth out there that exists. That doesn't mean that we're doing a great job in having people career work ready. We're not. We need more. We need better partnership with the university so that kids can take technical classes in high school, get some credit, and begin their process of getting their certifications so that they can enter into the workforce. We just need to do a better job of that. We don't necessarily need more students doing that.
Thank you. Martin?
Man, I hate to disagree with Brian because I know he's right, but I'm a tradesman. That's what I did. I still, view myself that way. And last year the school district had to make the difficult decision of cutting the shop, the mechanic shop downtown, just because of cost. And that's a huge part of the budgeting process, because that shop would have only costed about $45,000 to keep running. And I really want to get that shop back up and going so we can get kids into mechanical class, carpentry classes like I've done in my time. This is a high value for me. I support. I didn't go to college. I went to trade school. A bunch of my friends went to trade school. All of them are doing great. And so I don't look at trade schools and college as being one is more important than the other. I view them as the same. And I would, if elected, I would support the trades, getting people career ready.
Thanks, Martin. I see Rosemary has her hand up, but I can't see everyone here. But I can only see about half the screen. So after Rosemary, rather than put your hand up, just voice up so I can. So just let me know who you are, so then I'll have you ask that question. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Well, I'm really glad to hear both points of view from two people heading either onto or back to the school board, because I think they're both equally important. I remember a not too distant past where, in order to get into the electrical workers union, you had to be related to somebody in order just to get passage in. And now they advertise regularly for come join us in our apprentice program. So these are really good paying jobs that are out there, and I think are super important to the economy. But my question for Brian is, on the university level, what is the Juneau School District going to do to improve the cooperation with UAS and improve the opportunities for kids to take university classes, the dual class program while they're still in high school? I don't think that program is as well subscribed as it could be. And I think it comes down to good counseling and making sure that kids are supported as they move in that direction.
Even though Rosemary directed it to Brian, Martin will also get a chance to.
Yes.
Brian.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Rosemary. I agree. well, I mentioned the Juneau Education Compact, and it's something we need to work on. Kevin Ritchie and others have collaborated on this. And in that, we call out to have more dual enrollment. We need to enroll every high school kid in Juneau in the University of Alaska Southeast, and they can take classes that will get them on the career pathway, or get them into enrollment, or get them started on their college degree. Part of our college attainment failure is that our kids, they just don't make it through 4 years of school. There are so many classes that they could start. If we gave them a 1-year advanced start, so many of our kids would be able to make it through. And part of our career tech problem is parents. Our classes are undersubscribed. We offer classes and kids don't take them. My children are taking them and my kids are on a college path. Where are the other kids that need to take these classes? That is something that we need to do as a community, is encourage our kids to take these career classes.
Martin?
I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I'm not familiar with the answer, and I defer to Brian. But you know, I know for a fact that I'm getting my oldest boy, to take all the proper classes so that whenever he gets out of school, he's gonna have a few college credits already. And whenever he gets out of high school, he's gonna be able to take a higher math class and a higher reading class, and these more he's taking the honors classes right now in high school. And so man, that boy is just so much smarter than I was whenever I was in high school. But so those things, I know Bryson is going to go
Can't
to
hear you.
college. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, sorry. So I know my boy Bryson is going to college, and I could see that on him, and so we're prepping him for that, and we're letting him take the classes that he wants to take, you know, and so I don't know what my other kids are going to want to do, but I guess we'll cross that whenever we get there. But yeah.
Thank you. Next question.
John, this is John Pugh. And, you know, we're hearing a lot from school districts around the country that there are difficulties with platforms that are being used now by most school districts to do education online. And particularly for families that may not have as much money and may not have internet access, may not have equipment at home that others have. What is the experience at the Juneau School District in terms of the population, and how are they doing with the online education?
Martin, answer that first, please.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the biggest questions right now. How well is the school district doing, and how you know, are we holding up our students to make sure that everybody is staying caught up? And I think we'd all be lying to ourselves if we said we're doing just this amazing job. Things are not all hunky-dory right now. I know for a fact that my wife is having a hard time. She works full-time. I work outside of the house. Right now, I'd normally be at work right now. And my wife would be getting my kids ready. And so she does that all week long, and she works from this desk where I'm at right now. And so it's difficult for her. And I know that, and we don't have money problems. We don't have problems with the internet. So those students that do have those problems are probably having even a more difficult time. So I know that this is something we need to pay very close attention to. And if I'm elected, something I'll be following really closely.
Thank you, Martin. Next question.
Yeah, thanks, John, for that question. We weren't ready for it in the spring. We relied basically on a Google Classroom platform. We have since invested about $1 million, a big chunk of that from CARES funds, where we've transferred to new platform, Canvas. It's a platform really built for an environment that's distance delivery. Teachers are learning it. It's not easy, but it's working better. It's going to work better. And so we've invested in purpose-built platforms for distance delivery for all grade levels. So that's important. We're supposed to have every single kid in Juneau that needs a Wi-Fi device have one. I heard from a family yesterday that somehow didn't have one and hasn't been connected. So it's not perfect system. The school district is putting forward to the city another request for CARES Act funding to see if they can help us to make that more robust, because what we are giving families. If you have more than 2 or 3 kids, as a little hotspot isn't working, we're hearing as well. So we need to invest further for many families to get good internet connection.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this is for actually for both candidates. One of the things that we know is that we have kids in our schools that come from homes that have serious problems such as alcohol, drugs, violence, and schools have always been a safe place where they can go, a place where they can have a decent meal, and again be safe. With the schools being closed down, what are we doing for those children to help them? Because it's certainly difficult to progress in education under those conditions. And I'll mute myself and thank you.
Brian, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, it's not, I mean, the pandemic has caused all sorts of problems, and that's certainly a challenge. And food programs continue. In fact, our food program now is any youth under 18 can get free meals through our school district, which is an amazing program. So additional federal support. Those social emotional needs really addresses a bigger problem. I mentioned the Juneau Education Compact. K-12 system should be focused on delivering K-12 education. We can't ignore the rest of the society's issues, and we have to be a platform to link together. But we need assistance. The part of the challenge of running our schools and teaching our kids well is that kids bring so many societal issues with them, and it is really, really challenging to be able to address all of those needs. So no, don't have an easy answer as to what we're doing. Every single family is getting reached out to by the school district, but there's a million scenarios. Many of them are bad scenarios where our kids don't have the supports because their support structure in large part was the school system.
Thanks, Brian. Martin, would you address the next question?
The next question or the one that you just asked?
Annette's question.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, so I think this is a really good opportunity for the school district to make sure that we are, it's a really good outreach time to partner with communities, community partners like Tlingit and Haida or any other social services that we can use to reach out to make sure that those students that we knew in the past that are having a hard time are still doing okay this year. They're not in our buildings. We can't see them. We don't know. Usually when they walk in the door, you can tell if they're having a good day or not. And we can't really do that anymore right now. So I think that's one of the most important ones right now. These students, if they have these bigger issues, school is not really going to be much of a priority. Who cares about school if they're having to deal with alcoholism or violence in the house? So I think this is an important one because our counselors are working around the clock right now. They're probably being overworked because they're constantly reaching out to students already, just trying to make sure that everybody's okay. But I think we can do better on outreach, maybe with partnering with other community partners in the district.
Thanks, Martin. Who has the next question?
I do, John.
Go ahead, Rosemary.
So last night on the news, I saw where the Anchorage School District was announcing their schedule for moving back from remote to in-person instruction. What's the status of that for the Juneau School District?
Martin, you go first.
I think we need to follow the professional guidance, first of all. Safety first whenever it comes to this pandemic. I think the school district has played it that way. I support that. I don't want us to end up where other school districts have in the nation, where they try to force everybody back into the school, and then you have this big outbreak, and then you have to shut down the schools again. Nobody wants to do that. So you know, we're 4,700 students, we're 600 staff and 300 teachers, and so we're a huge part of this community, and anything we do about trying to open up the schools needs to be done with a lot of care and a lot of responsibility knowing that if we do something as a school district, it can affect everybody with serious consequences. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Brian?
On September 28th, the board's going to meet to discuss the next phase. We've closed down our schools or have our schools working in this way at the elementary level through the first trimester, which is the end of October, and the first quarter for secondary, which is mid-October. So those would be the earliest dates we would open up. It is possible that we will open up. If you asked us a week ago, with the high levels of cases loads in Juneau, it's not really good. Maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll be in a different position, hopefully on the 28th, that cases are low and we can get to opening. What I do expect is that we are going to start opening things like shop classes and bring in groups that that really require being together without having to bring back the entire student body. That is going to happen. I'm fairly confident. It is happening already. It's going to happen more and more.
Thanks, Brian. Who has the next question?
Physical education.
Chuck?
What is the school district doing to promote outdoor physical education on a regular basis, K through 12?
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, outdoor is, weather dependent. We do have PE requirements. There's a state requirement at the elementary level, which is becomes a district requirement for physical education. And then in middle school and high school, there are education requirements. I don't think there's any desire to change those. There has been a little bit of softening to give kids more opportunities at the high school level. If you're in a varsity sport, you can opt out of some of your credits for PE, which makes the other PE classes a little less full, and also frees up schedules for the older kids. So no, I don't see any big changes. I think it's kind of status quo.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, so I just want to add on to what Brian said. I think that he basically answered it. My boy, he normally does track and field every year, and he didn't choose to do it this year, and we didn't want to make him do it. And so as far as that goes, I think people are still wary about trying to send their student off to see other people that you don't know if they're safe or not. So I think that definitely plays into, even if the school district did have outdoor PE and they're supposed to meet, maybe people are just weary about that and don't want to send their kids out to be exposed to the pandemic and the COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Rosemary, would you please mute yourself? Who has the next question? Don't be shy, speak up.
I'll ask another question.
Go ahead, Nat.
So just going back to kind of the bond issue and your comments about that the school board's primary goal is education, and the city takes care of buildings. Since clearly the city isn't doing a very good job, is there any thoughts or plans afoot for you guys to start taking that over? Thank you.
Go ahead, Martin.
Well, that's a real tough question because I think, as you know, the city owns these buildings, and I think with them owning the buildings and having to really 100% of the maintenance on these buildings now, I think the difficult question we need to look at for the future is our municipality. Thank God, they always have supported us in the near past with paying education to the cap, which is amazing and great. Not every community can do that. Not every city can do that for their school. And the assembly does that for us almost every year. But with them having to pay to fix these roofs, we know for a fact that these 3 roofs need to be fixed immediately. But that's on top of there's another 4 buildings within the school district that within this city that need brand new roofs, and so I think the biggest danger as far as funding goes for us is the city is going to pivot their funding from giving it to the school district and paying to the cap to actually paying for fixing and maintaining these buildings. I think that's a real risk coming quickly.
Thanks, Martin. Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Annette, for that question. And this is a real problem for assembly board relations because sometimes it gets confused in the public, like the school district isn't doing all it can because we've got leaky roofs. We cannot spend dollars for teachers fixing roofs. Nobody likes leaky roofs, and we have a custodial staff, and we have a custodial budget, and they hang up buckets, and I hate to say that, but that's true, to kind of allow the classroom to continue. We just need a bigger budget. We already manage $1 million a year from a sales tax initiative from voters to fund our custodial work. But the city manager says the size of our infrastructure, that should be $5 million a year just to maintain our buildings. So we're in a constant catch up. We have great relationship with the engineering department at the city. They advise us on what's the next most important thing to do, but we just have a backlog of repairs, and that's why these 3 roofs have just gotten to the place where they've failed, and now they need to be replaced.
Amy, you had a question. You had a chat. Go ahead. Amy?
That was just a comment in response to what Annette said, since I have worked a lot of years in funding. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? There's time for one more question. Rosemary?
Okay, so the student achievement scores have been significantly low, both in Juneau and across the state. And I am assuming in your strategic plan that there is something built in to try and remediate that. Is that correct?
Martin?
Yes, so I know that the brand new strategic plan is definitely has something in there about early education and trying to get our students up to reading and literacy by the 3rd grade. That's going to be a real big focus, and that's one of my bullet point top priorities is try to do something big and bold whenever it comes to reading scores. In my term, I'll be pushing for that and trying to get behind that. But our school district is doing a lot of good right now. The graduation rates are increasing and getting better every year over the last few years. So we're not failing completely. You know, we're doing good at the higher levels. Our students are getting into college at higher levels. We know that, but we do need to try to do something with reading, and early education is going to play a key role in that area.
Thank you, Martin. Brian?
Yeah, Juneau schools are really good, and if I can say this in a minute, you'll understand why. We have the rates of kindergarten readiness as bad as anywhere in the state. You get to 3rd grade, and we're poor. Where 60% of our kids read at grade level at 3rd grade, about 40% if you're minority. You get up to middle school and high school, our reading and math get up to above average of the state. In high school, we have we're 90% graduation rate at high school. 2 years ago, we had all of our, 3 years ago, all of our native students graduated at Thunder Mountain High School. So our school district works. We have the same problem every other has. We have too many kids coming not ready, and our supports early aren't good. We actually raised PTR across the board last year and lowered it in K through 3. Really tough decision to make. Affected my kids that are all in high school, but we just need to double down further on early intervention because later on our system does work. It just it's underfunded across the board, unfortunately.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you both, Martin and Brian, for participating in this candidates forum and for running for office. Excuse me. It's a big sacrifice to do that at times. I'm sure Brian can speak to that, but that'll be later. So thank you very much.